Chapter 21. Side effects. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yuan brought the two gangsters with him and headed to an isolated alleyway. Many black-colored plastic bags used for storing trash could be seen everywhere here. In the depths of the alley were even more overturned trash bags, and bugs were flying above them as they emitted a nasty smell. A few wild cats and wild dogs were rummaging through the trash bags for food. When they saw Lu Yuan and the others coming over, they turned and glared at them as their bodies arched. They started barking and meowing. Most probably, the animals treated the three of them as enemies who were here to snatch their food. Lu Yuan glanced at the wild animals and didn't care about them. The stench here was too heavy. Hence, Lu Yuan didn't dare to lead the two gangsters too deep inside the alley as he was afraid he might puke. He stayed at the outer parts of the alley and turned to look at the two gangsters. At this moment, the two gangsters were holding their broken arms. Their faces were pale and their perspiration was like rain. Lu Yuan smiled. "Is it very painful?" The red-haired gangster cried and spoke. "Boss, please treat us like farts and let us go. Our hands are going to be crippled." Lu Yuan's attack was heavier when he targeted this gangster. Right now, the arm of the red-haired gangster was already purplish-black. He couldn't even bleed out the extravasated blood. Lu Yuan laughed. "You dared to directly attack with your weapons earlier. Why are you afraid now? If your arms are broken, just go get yourselves equipped with a mechanical arm. There's no need to be afraid." The two gangsters. Lu Yuan continued. "I'm pretty interested in the haunting incident you guys mentioned before. If you can tell me the detailed information, I can spare you too." Upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, the two gangsters were startled. "Haunting, boss, are you talking about the old blade guy we were speaking about earlier?" "Yes. Boss, please ask, quickly ask." The red-haired gangster impatiently spoke. Lu Yuan smiled. "Did you guys see how old Blade died? Think carefully before you answer. If I learn that you guys are lying to me, you guys should just think about the consequences of doing so." The two of them exchanged a mutual glance. The green-haired gangster trembled a little and spoke. We didn't see it personally, but we heard others talking about it. We really heard. What they said is definitely real because they have no reason to lie to us. What did they say? We heard that back then, Old Blade and a few others went to extort and blackmail someone wealthy. But when they passed by an alley, a strange dark shadow charged out from the darkness. At that time, the shadow rushed toward Old Blade's chest, and Old Blade simply clutched his chest as his face turned green. Then he died. The red-haired gangster answered, and his face also turned a little green. Firstly, they were badly frightened. Secondly, the red-haired gangster's broken hand was already completely numb. He couldn't feel it anymore. Lu Yuan gradually narrowed his eyes as he listened to the red-haired gangster's words. It was certain now. It was similar to when he met that apparition-like thingy back then. Lu Yuan then thought of something and he asked. "What time was it roughly back then?" The green-haired gangster answered, I think it was roughly midnight." Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes. After he was sneak attacked yesterday, he checked the time. It was also midnight. 2 attacks at the same time. Could there be more than one of such creatures? Or could there be a clone? Lu Yuan was a little confused now. Anyway, this wasn't something good. After Old Blade died, are there any strange circumstances? After Old Blade died, the others all quickly ran away due to fear. After that, they went to inform the bosses. When the bosses rushed there, Old Blade's body was still there. There was nothing strange. Lu Yuan nodded. As for Old Blade, has he offended anyone before? Did he encounter any mutation incidents before? He did offend someone before. B. Boss, this question of yours really is, in our line of job. We definitely have offended many people before, our heads can roll anytime. As for mutation, I don't think so. If there was, how could he have survived? Lu Yuan frowned. That was right, his question was a little too careless. For gangsters, how would they not have offended people? It was normal no matter when they died. Asking this question was basically meaningless. In that case, this person didn't have any reference value to Lu Yuan. He felt a little headache. But at this moment, Lu Yuan could hear some groans from the two gangsters. He glanced at them and saw their faces turning green. Hence, he removed his grasp on their arms. Scram, don't let me see you guys again in the future. Upon hearing this, the two gangsters started. It seemed that they were still in a daze. After that, they hurriedly bowed and nodded. A sobbing tone could be heard in their voices. Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. We are scramming now. They immediately left the alley by running away. As Lu Yuan watched the gangsters leave, he pondered over the incidents. There might be more than one dark shadow, and most probably Old Blade wasn't the only one who died. At the very least, the original owner of this body also died. In a place like the slums, no one would know even if some people died. No one would care about this. However, what exactly did the ghost-like thingy want? Lu Yuan pondered for half a day but still couldn't think of a good reason. Hence, he shook his head and decided not to think anymore. Only after leaving the alley did Lu Yuan take out the bun he had bought earlier. The taste is passable. Shili City's western area, Nine Lakes Business District. This was a business district near the Gene Fighter Association. High-rise buildings could be seen everywhere, and levitating vehicles floated up and off the platforms of these buildings. This place was extremely prosperous. Lu Yuan walked on the street. When he looked at the elitists wearing Western suits and rich women wearing gorgeous dresses, he felt like he had entered another world. The difference between this place and the slum was like the difference between heaven and hell. However, the distance between the two areas was clearly just a few streets apart. The reason Lu Yuan came here was to sell all his greystone armor shells, and he soon found a shop whose main door wasn't that large. The neon signboard before the door had the words, Quan Lang Materials Shop * and an imprint of a howling wolf head. After looking at it, Lu Yuan pushed the door open and entered. The shop wasn't large, but there were counters with various materials everywhere. Of course, Lu Yuan didn't recognize the majority of them. However, he could tell that these items were all from the land of origins. In the interior of the shop, a skinny youth with a mohawk hairstyle, clad in a flowery shirt and beach shorts, was currently seated on a chair and engrossed in his mobile game. When he heard the sound of the door being opened, he lifted his head and glanced at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan discovered that the light in the shop was pretty dim, but this youth was actually wearing shades. How could he see anything then? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ridicule in his heart. The youth took a glance at Lu Yuan before he swiftly lowered his head and continued playing his game. The youth said, "What's a little brat like you doing here? If you have nothing to do, go away and play elsewhere." Lu Yuan was speechless, but he still walked to the front desk and rapped the desk with his fingers. "I'm here to sell ingredients." The youth's movements paused. He lifted his head once more and seriously surveyed Lu Yuan as he kept his phone. "You are a gene fighter." Lu Yuan nodded. Are you guys buying materials?" "Oh sure. Just say it, what are you selling?" Lu Yuan took out a bunch of greystone armor shells. Walala, the greystone armor shells were tossed onto the table and created a banging sound as they landed. Can't you place them on the floor? My table is already on the verge of breaking. The youth quickly stood up and swept the greystone armor shells onto the ground. After that, he took a look. Greystone armor shells. A material from greystone beetles, low-grade common-quality ingredients. $150 for one. This price is definitely fair and we accept no negotiations. Lu Yuan knew about the price. He had checked it up on the battle web before he came here. $150 per material was truly a fair price. He nodded. It's okay. You can count how many there are. I'm selling them all. A woo woof woof woof. Lu Yuan. He stared at the youth who would occasionally let out wolf howls and dog barks, and question marks filled his head. Was this person crazy? However, the youth was stunned as well. Lu Yuan and the youth then stared at each other, causing the atmosphere to be a little awkward. After a period of silence, the youth coughed and pretended that nothing had happened. Cough, let me calculate the value for you, woo woof woof. Lu Yuan. He deliberated and adjusted his tone before tactfully reminding, bro, do you want to go to the hospital for a checkup? The youth fell silent for a moment before he spoke. This is a side effect of the gene I engraved and recorded. Just an old problem, I'm fine, I'm fine. Lu Yuan fell silent upon hearing the sourness in the youth's tone. He was somewhat enlightened. So this was the case. If one failed to complete the process of engraving and recording genes, there would definitely be side effects that matched the characteristics of the gene's creatures. When Lu Yuan thought of how the youth barked like a dog when conversing with humans, he felt a degree of shame for him. This made him feel a little sympathy for the youth too. Moreover, he was very curious about the grade of extraordinary gene this guy had recorded and engraved. His outburst seemed like a dog and wolf. However, Lu Yuan didn't ask. When dealing with unfamiliar gene fighters, one usually wouldn't reveal what genes they had recorded and engraved. If not, if they let others learn of their battle techniques, they would lose the advantage of possessing an unknown trump card. The two of them didn't continue on with this topic. The youth soon tabulated the full amount. There are a total of 102 pieces. I will give you a discount and count them as 100 pieces. A total of $15,000. Lu Yuan, a discount. You mean breaking my bones, right? Let's round it up and make it $20,000. The youth pushed his shades higher up his nose and smiled amicably. Cough, it's just a little difference, so we might as well not round it up. In any case, you can always hunt for more. Lu Yuan also showed his most amiable smile. Scram. Could the reason why this person was so excessively ridiculous have something to do with his extraordinary gene? The youth sighed. All right then, $15,300. Give me the money. The youth then transferred the money to Lu Yuan's bank account. After seeing the money in his bank account surging by $15,300, Lu Yuan suddenly felt a little moved. Dad, Mom, your son is capable now. I finally can be considered as having money. 1. Quan Lang can be translated to brazen/wild/crazy wolf. Chapter 22. Let Brother Yuan profit again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The youth didn't give Lu Yuan any excess time to feel touched. He smiled. The goods have been received and money has been sent over. If you have more materials, please continue to look for me. I definitely won't swindle you. Since you said that, I will look for you if I have more stock in the future. Lu Yuan smiled. He felt that this boss that barked like a dog was quite interesting. He had successfully drawn Lu Yuan's attention. It wouldn't be too bad to look for this boss in the future. After leaving the Quan Lang material shop, Lu Yuan went to the shopping district and replenished his necessities. If it wasn't for him having flammable oil and ropes back then, Lu Yuan would basically have no way to get that treasure chest. Necessities were really very useful in special situations. Naturally, these items could only be used in low-leveled areas. If he was facing high-graded ferocious beasts, these items wouldn't have much effect at all. Other than replenishing the necessities, Lu Yuan also bought new items such as tents and sleeping bags. The amount of time one could stay in the land of origins had a direct correlation with one's strength. For the first time, because everyone had just awakened, they could only stay there for 24 hours. But for the second time, the amount of time would be determined by one's strength. Given Lu Yuan's current strength, it wasn't a problem for him to stay there for a few days. Most probably, he would have to spend the night in the wilderness at that time. So, he still had to prepare things like tents and sleeping bags. Luckily, Lu Yuan's current strength had improved somewhat. As his strength increased, the battle tattoo space also became larger, roughly about 2 meters wide now. However, it was still a little difficult if he wanted to load everything inside. Because he had to buy more items. The amount of money he had to spend would naturally be more. Before the $15,000 could grow warm in his hands, only $4,300 was remaining. Seeing the money in his hands, Lu Yuan suddenly felt very poor. If he wanted to relocate from the slums and stay elsewhere, the path to reach this goal was still a long one with heavy responsibilities. He drew in a deep breath and decided that he definitely had to move away next time. After leaving the shopping district, Lu Yuan returned to the slums. The small incident in the morning didn't cause any commotion in the slums at all. The ordinary people there still lived their lives as per usual. Since it was on the way, Lu Yuan went to the Daming Dojo. Brother Yuan. Brother Yuan, you came. Why are you so late today? Brother Yuan, I heard you entered the land of origins. How is it? Don't tell me you died and were forced to exit. Just after he entered the Daming Dojo, cheers gushed forth like a heatwave toward him. The dojo members all respectfully nodded their heads and greeted Lu Yuan when they saw him. There were even people joking around. Their attitudes were completely different from when Lu Yuan first came. It was because during these few days, Lu Yuan's performance had won the respect of everyone. He smiled and greeted those who nodded their heads at him as he headed into the depths of the dojo. Little Tiger was currently hitting a metallic boxing frame. His huge fists slammed into the metallic frame and caused loud thudding noises to echo out. Parts from the metallic frame sank in from the huge impact. Upon seeing Lu Yuan walking over, he paused and used the towel he hung on the frame to swipe his sweat before walking over. Ah Yuan, why are you so late today? I went to sell some things. Lu Yuan turned and stared at the surroundings as he asked in some bewilderment. Where's Brother Ming? Why don't I see him? Usually, Fu Langming would box here, but Lu Yuan didn't see him today. Oh, Brother Ming. He went out last night and hasn't returned yet. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuan started. He couldn't help but ask doubtfully. Went out last night. What happened? I also have no idea. However, Brother Ming would occasionally head out, and his trip would either sometimes last for a few days or he would be back the very same day. As to what happened, I'm not that clear either. Little Tiger slammed his fists together and grinned as he looked at Lu Yuan. Come, let's spar on the stage. Lu Yuan stared at Little Tiger in a strange manner. Are you sure? Why? I feel that my improvement during these 2 days is extremely evident. Don't tell me you don't dare. Little Tiger stared at Lu Yuan provocatively and even pointed a middle finger. Looking at this scene, Lu Yuan couldn't hold back his laughter anymore. Since you have put it like this, I shall accompany you to train. Let's make things clear first. I have some improvements after entering the land of origins last night. For the first entry, you can at most stay there for 24 hours. How much can you improve? Do you think I don't know anything and can be swindled easily? Little Tiger didn't care about this at all. When Lu Yuan saw Little Tiger's expression of disdain, he furrowed his brows. Let's get up on stage. The two of them then walked toward the stage. There were currently 2 muscular dudes boxing on the stage and even some members in the surroundings. However, upon seeing the arrival of Lu Yuan and Little Tiger, everyone opened up a pathway for them. "Brother Yuan, you have come. Little Tiger is here too. Are you guys planning to fight for one round?" When one of the muscular dudes saw the 2 of them, he felt somewhat uncertain. Little Tiger folded his arms across his chest and grinned. "This is my revenge battle. You guys shall see how I, Little Tiger, will beat this brat up so badly that he has to be hospitalized." After hearing Little Tiger's words, the eyes of everyone brightened as they cheered. "Oi oi, the 2 of you quickly get down. Yeah. Why are you 2 not letting Brother Yuan and Little Tiger use the stage yet?" The 2 muscular dudes on the stage weren't angry either. Under the urgings of everyone, they hurriedly leaped off the stage. Everyone cheered and urged Lu Yuan and Little Tiger to head up quickly. Hence, the 2 of them went up the stage and faced each other. The people below started discussing. Who do you guys think will win? Is there still a need to say this? It's naturally my brother Yuan. Your brother Yuan is fart. Clearly, my brother Tiger will win, okay. Although I know that Little Tiger has been training very hard recently and has improved a lot, I will still choose Brother Yuan. Isn't this clear? Brother Yuan is a gene fighter and he entered the land of origins yesterday. From Brother Yuan's appearance, it's evident that he left there alive, so his improvements would naturally not be little. A burly dude couldn't help but speak up for Little Tiger. Wait, don't tell me almost none of you feels that Little Tiger can win. Isn't Little Tiger a little too pitiful? Could it be that you feel Little Tiger can win? The burly dude scratched his head and laughed dryly. Cough, naturally I believe in Brother Yuan. Che. Everyone pointed a middle finger at him. On the stage, Little Tiger and Lu Yuan could naturally hear the discussion down below. Hence, Little Tiger's simple and honest face revealed a grim expression as he felt extremely depressed. Lu Yuan couldn't help but find this funny. "Come on, BDNV, brat, I will show you the result of my training for these few days." Little Tiger roared in rage and lunged toward Lu Yuan. His momentum was like a ferocious tiger descending its mountain. Compared to a few days ago, he had indeed improved. However, Lu Yuan's face was expressionless. There were also no fluctuations in his heart. This bit of improvement was considered negligible to his own improvement. He lifted a finger and blocked Little Tiger's punch. Little Tiger's fist, which was imbued with the force of wind from his punch, slammed into an unbreakable wall and came to a halt. At this moment, Little Tiger opened his eyes wide and stared at the finger blocking his fist. His entire person froze. He was dumbstruck. When the people below saw this scene, all of their eyes widened. The atmosphere fell dead silent. A moment later, someone exclaimed in shock. "Damn! My brother Yuan is the strongest forever. He actually uses a finger to block such a ferocious heavy punch. Is my brother Yuan still human? Brother Yuan wasn't that strong yesterday, right? Could this be the improvement he gained after entering the land of origins? Isn't this too much of an exaggeration? Despicable, we let Brother Yuan profit again." Everyone was shouting and cheering. There was even a hint of worship in their gazes now. They originated from the slums, so the people training in the dojo were actually very pure. If you had strength, you would be respected. If you were strong enough, people would worship you. After all, in a region like this that was covered in darkness, the law was useless and strength determined everything. And Lu Yuan only used a few days to gain strength that the vast majority of dojo members would find hard to obtain. Since that was the case, he naturally obtained everyone's worship. This was so even though Lu Yuan was much younger than them. On the stage, Lu Yuan stared at the dumbfounded Little Tiger as he smiled. Pushing with his finger, he made Little Tiger retreat continuously until he reached the edge of the stage, almost falling down. Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at the shocked Little Tiger. Do you still want to continue? Little Tiger fell silent before shaking his head with a bitter smile. No need, no need. I'm not your match. He was still somewhat depressed as he looked at Lu Yuan. He scratched his head in puzzlement. Strange, how did your strength improve so fast? Is the land of origins so magical? Lu Yuan answered with a straight face, this is the result of my own hard work. Actually, he didn't use his full power. Let alone full power, he didn't even use 1/3 of it. The improvement yesterday was simply too great. The reason why he used one finger was that he was afraid he might accidentally fail to hold back and cripple Little Tiger. Chapter 23. My Own Life, a boss that loves to prank others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Little Tiger admitted defeat, the two of them got down from the stage. A group of people immediately surrounded Lu Yuan. Brother Yuan, you are too strong. That's right, Brother Yuan. With your strength, most probably only Brother Ming can win against you for sure. Ha ha ha, Brother Ming is in for a great shock when he returns and sees Brother Yuan's current strength. Brother Yuan, when are you going to challenge Brother Ming? That's right, Brother Yuan, when are you going to challenge Brother Ming? Lu Yuan laughed. My current strength is still far from being able to compare with Brother Ming's strength. I'll train more first before I challenge him. Actually, Lu Yuan felt that he wouldn't need too long to surpass Fu Langming. After all, Fu Langming was only a gene fighter that had just broken through to the Tier 1 stage. Given Fu Langming's talent, since he had just broken through now, the gene he had engraved and recorded back when he was at the probationary level should be just a common grade 1. Such strength couldn't be considered strong, right? Given the elite grade gene Lu Yuan had engraved and recorded, once the refinement was complete, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to defeat Fu Langming. However, Lu Yuan didn't want to overperform. It was good enough to appear as someone quite powerful. Now, he didn't have a backer. In a dark place like the slums, showing off one's brilliance might not be a good thing. He should pursue stability and try to develop himself first. I, Lu Yuan, am after all a mature and low-profile man. In me, the tiger sniffs the rose. *MN, as expected of me. After freeing himself from the entanglement of everyone, Lu Yuan continued practicing the military fist and military swordplay. Time flowed by and it was night time, but Fu Langming hadn't returned yet. Hence, Lu Yuan left the Daming dojo. The slums at night were much more chaotic compared to the day. Only a very few people were on the streets. The majority of these people were those working the night shifts. After passing by a street, Lu Yuan heard intense gunshots coming from an alley not far away. Hearing this, the surrounding passers-by quickened their footsteps as they left with lowered heads. However, the beautifully dolled-up young ladies standing at the street side seemed to be used to this. They lowered their heads and cursed their bad luck before hurriedly changing to another location to try and solicit customers. Lu Yuan cast a glance in the direction of the alley and didn't bother with it. He followed the other passers-by and quickly left the area with the sounds of gunshots. He kept a low profile and returned to his house. But at this moment, Lu Yuan saw a familiar silhouette on the pathway leading to his house. He lifted his brows and hasted his footsteps as he walked over. Elder Sister Qinghe. The figure ahead turned her head. It was precisely none other than Li Qinghe. Her face was filled with fatigue, and there was a cigarette in her hand. After seeing Lu Yuan, she puffed out a mouthful of smoke as her tired face broke into a smile. Younger brother Lu Yuan, why are you still outside at such late hours? Lu Yuan smiled. I just returned from Daming dojo. He, younger brother Yuan is truly working hard. That's a necessity. Only with hard work can I improve and earn money to leave the slums. How's your cultivation going? Didn't you say that you've entered the land of origins? Upon hearing this question, Lu Yuan's eyes brightened as he laughed. I have a huge improvement. My gains in the land of origins yesterday weren't bad either. I managed to earn over $10,000. Oh. So much. Li Qinghe's eyes narrowed as she revealed an astonished expression. Materials from a low-grade ferocious beast only cost $100 or $200. Since he made $10,000, doesn't that mean that he killed close to 100 ferocious beasts? This little brat, it seems that I have still underestimated him. Li Qinghe was truly frightened. It wasn't due to the number of gains he had obtained. Li Qinghe had seen plenty of people with many gains despite it being their first time entering the land of origins. For example, when she had entered the land of origins, she had completely cleaned a region of all the elite-grade ferocious beasts. However, given her identity and talent, this couldn't be used as a point of reference. Lu Yuan's gains were relatively not weaker than any geniuses out there, and the majority of these geniuses were supported by their clans. Li Qinghe couldn't be clearer regarding Lu Yuan's family background. Hence, she knew it was truly not easy for him to reach such a stage. Lu Yuan treated Li Qinghe as an elder sister who cared about him, so when he saw her shock, he revealed a smile and was a little proud of himself. It is a pity that the money I earned this time around has to be spent on some adventuring necessities. There won't be much money remaining. When I enter the land of origins the next time, I should be able to earn enough money. At that time, I will bring you with me when I leave here. Li Qinghe giggled and looked at Lu Yuan. Since you have the heart to do so, your elder sister is already very happy. Let's wait until you earn enough money before we talk about this again. Oh right, elder sister Qinghe. You didn't return this morning. Did you just come back now? Lu Yuan asked as he saw the fatigue on Li Qinghe's face. I just returned. Li Qinghe took a puff and displayed her voluptuous figure as she smiled. Why are you so late today? Asked Lu Yuan. A strange smile appeared on Li Qinghe's face. She surveyed Lu Yuan and spoke in a teasing tone. No one wants to bed your elder sister. For a time, Lu Yuan was speechless. He opened and closed his mouth, having no idea what to say. Hence, he could only change the topic. Elder sister Qinghe, it looks like you are very tired. Let us head back first so you can have a good rest. Li Qinghe cast a glance at Lu Yuan as a naughty smile appeared on her face. Hee, younger brother Lu Yuan is an adult now, right? Why are you so shy? Do you want elder sister to help you out? Don't worry, I won't charge you any money. Lu Yuan's steps halted as he seriously regarded Li Qinghe. Elder sister Qinghe, in the past it has always been you helping me and I wasn't capable enough to help you out at all. But now that I'm capable of doing so, I won't let you continue doing this. I will let you have the life of an ordinary woman, with your own job, your own relationships, and your own life. Li Qinghe didn't expect Lu Yuan to say something like this, so she was stunned for a moment. She surveyed the serious Lu Yuan before taking a puff on her cigarette and laughing lightly. Younger brother is so sensible now. Elder sister is a little touched, but, let's talk about this next time. I have to bid farewell to my customers first. After all, they have taken care of me for over a year now. Without them, elder sister might not be here now. As she spoke, a trace of cold light flashed in Li Qinghe's eyes. Lu Yuan pondered a little, feeling that maybe Li Qinghe was referring to Fu Langming and the rest. Actually, after he got to know more about Fu Langming, Lu Yuan realized that the latter treated the people in his circle pretty well. Maybe Fu Langming had shown plenty of care to elder sister Qinghe before, so he didn't think too deeply about this and nodded. Alright then. Haha, let's go back. Elder sister is a little hungry now. Since younger brother Lu Yuan has earned some money, are you willing to treat your elder sister to something good? Don't worry. Elder Sister Chingha, what do you want to eat? Just feel free to say it. Hee, I won't stand on ceremony then. Alright, speaking of which, you really don't need this elder sister to help you enter the world of adults. Elder Sister Chingha, please don't joke. Ha 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 ha. The two of them bantered and their silhouettes vanished into the darkness. They went for supper before returning to their own room. When Li Qinghe arrived at her room, she lay on her bed and glanced at the white ceiling before narrowing her eyes. A moment later, her lips curled as she revealed a smile. That smelly brat, if he saw my real appearance, I don't believe he would reject me. Humph. After that, she retracted her smile. That thing has begun again, however, with me here, you won't be able to escape. Lu Yuan returned to his place. After turning his lousy computer on, he logged into the battle web as he surfed it habitually to see if any new forum posts appeared. This was a habit Lu Yuan had nurtured during these few days. Many posts on the battle web would provide great help to him. Sadly, some needed the viewers to pay money and even required them to be of a certain battle web level before they could gain access. This made Lu Yuan lose the joy of free surfing. Fortunately, Lu Yuan didn't really need to view these posts which required money and a certain level of authority to access right now. In the future, so be it even if he couldn't free surf. At that time, this bro would already be rich. Lu Yuan browsed through the forums and soon saw a post. Human nature is ugly. There's actually someone doing something like this in the Greystone Forest. Greystone Forest. Lu Yuan frowned. Wasn't that the place he was currently in? What had happened exactly? Lu Yuan clicked into the forum post with some curiosity. Today, I want to talk about an infuriating matter to everyone. This is what happened. My team and I were hunting greystone beetles in the Greystone Forest. After that, we discovered a very powerful light from flames in a certain region. With the thought of adventuring and discovering treasures, we headed to that place for a look. In the end, we saw two crazed black-runed greystone beetles there. It was unknown what happened to the two black-runed greystone beetles. They immediately lunged over and frenziedly attacked when they saw us. Luckily, our team was in an alliance with an elf party and a kobold party. Our three parties only managed to kill the two black-runed greystone beetles after much effort, and even two of my companions died. This isn't the most infuriating part. What's most infuriating was that we discovered the two black-runed greystone beetles were actually guarding a wooden treasure chest. However, when we discovered the treasure chest, it was already emptied. Someone must have taken the treasure in advance and left the two black-runed greystone beetles behind to specifically swindle people like us who arrived later. I just want to ask a question. Does the person who did this have a conscience or not? How terrible. The ugly side of human nature. A depraved personality. A lack of morals and integrity. Forum browsers, please share your opinions and judge who is right or wrong. Lu Yuan. His expression was somewhat strange after he finished reading the post. Light from flames, two black-runed greystone beetles, and an empty wooden treasure chest. Why did this sound so familiar? Could it be the treasure he opened? His entire person immediately felt unwell. He felt extremely wronged. If he could kill those two black-runed greystone beetles, why would he leave them alive? He would definitely kill them. Who knows, he might even be able to get a battle soul to drop from them. Clearly, they were only alive because he couldn't kill them, alright. He didn't expect that someone would say that his personality was depraved, lacking in morals and integrity. Lu Yuan immediately grew depressed. There were several hundreds of replies to this forum post. Lu Yuan clicked into them to read the comments. Wow, that person is so black-hearted. He doesn't seem like a good guy. Heh, the thread starter is really weak. For such trashy ferocious beasts like black-runed greystone beetles, wouldn't one be able to kill them easily? The thread starter said that 3 parties had ganged up on 2 black rune greystone beetles, yet 2 of their companions died. How truly laughable. The above poster, you can't put it this way. Who among us didn't start from being weak? Black rune greystone beetles are definitely a killer creature for newbies. However, since someone could open the wooden treasure chest without killing the guardian beasts, that person should be a major character. Right. If not, how could they open the treasure chest while the guardian beasts were still alive? I also feel it should be a major character. Are the powerful experts now so playful with a bad taste in pranks? Do they specially target newbies for pranks? Lu Yuan immediately grew unhappy when he saw the replies. These people actually still have some judgment ability. They actually know that I, Lu, am a major character. Lu Yuan's mood was instantly restored. At this moment, he closed the forum post and went to check out the other posts. Lu Yuan only closed the battle web after browsing through it for a while. His consciousness then entered the Gene battle tattoo. A moment later, in the white mist inside his consciousness, the door of light appeared. The door of light was a little dim. This was because of the mental power expended when Lu Yuan entered the land of origins. However, such dimness would soon be recovered. He would be able to enter the land of origins not too long from now. It was good that he exited alive. If he exited via death, his mental state would be damaged and it would be much more difficult to recover. If he wanted to enter again, he would need a much longer time compared to those who exited the land of origins alive. Lu Yuan waited a few minutes until the door of light completely regained its brightness. He then entered the land of origins again. 1. Reference to a poem. https://allpoetry.com/in.me, past, present, future.meet. Chapter 24. Expert. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yuan's vision darkened as his consciousness shook for a moment. When he regained his senses, he saw that he had appeared in the Greystone Forest. Gigantic stone pillars were everywhere. It was none other than his previous location back then. Under one of the pillars nearby, 3 greystone beetles were chewing on rocks contently. Hence, Lu Yuan's sudden appearance stunned all 3 of the bugs. They then slowly turned their heads and looked at Lu Yuan. Both parties matched gazes and the atmosphere fell silent. After that, the 3 greystone beetles started screeching as they charged at Lu Yuan. As the black colored sword appeared in Lu Yuan's hand, he also started charging toward the 3 greystone beetles. Although the enhancement to speed from the black iron body couldn't be considered great, that was only when compared to those on the same level. To the greystone beetles, Lu Yuan's current speed was still considered very fast. He stepped to the left and right, dodging past the 3 bugs from the center as a black colored sword light arced past their bodies. As a result, greenish-black fresh blood sprayed out as the 3 greystone beetles fell to the ground and died. Right after, Lu Yuan went over to pick up the 3 spirit crystals on the floor. He then cut off a total of 3 pieces of greystone armor shells as he revealed a smile. Having some gains the moment I enter, not bad, not bad. He casually absorbed the 3 spirit crystals before staring at the sun to determine his direction. He then began to head in the direction that would exit Greystone Forest. Given his current strength, he could definitely hunt ferocious beasts that were stronger than greystone beetles. By doing so, he would receive more spirit crystals, and his improvement would be even faster. On the way, Lu Yuan killed all the greystone beetles he saw regardless of their number. In any case, they weren't a match for Lu Yuan. Very soon, he entered a small field that had a radius of roughly 100 meters. The moment he entered, he could see a black rune greystone beetle and 4 other normal greystone beetles lying down in a row on the right, chewing down on rocks. Lu Yuan's eyes brightened. He didn't expect to see a black rune greystone beetle here. If it was in the past, he would definitely choose to sneak away when he encountered a black rune greystone beetle. But things were different now. He felt that the current him wasn't any weaker than a black-rune greystone beetle. Just so coincidentally, he could use this chance to check his own strength. Lu Yuan pursed his lips. He stared at the black-rune greystone beetle from afar and felt battle intent stirring in him. Just when Lu Yuan was planning to head forward, a team of 5 kobolds exited another tunnel not far away. When they saw Lu Yuan, they started. After that, they saw the black-rune greystone beetle at the side. A moment later, the eyes of the 5 kobolds brightened as they revealed their smiles. It's actually a black-rune greystone beetle. Our luck is so good. We can kill it. There's also a human. Let's finish him off first in case there's trouble. Bali, take note. If our movements alert the black-rune greystone beetle, you will be responsible for blocking it. No problem. Their expressions were malevolent and their eyes gleamed with cold light when they looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan. He felt very speechless. Why would he run into kobolds every time? Lu Yuan's expression gradually turned cold as well when he saw the 5 kobolds take out their weapons and slowly move closer to him. His hand was holding around his bug-claw sword tightly. Kill. A female kobold that stood at the back pulled on her bow and fired, giving the signal to attack. Whoosh! An arrow shot through the air, blasting toward Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's pupils narrowed. He lifted the sword in his hand as he looked at the fired arrow. Kang! The arrow came in contact with Lu Yuan's sword and was knocked aside. When the kobolds saw this scene, their eyes brightened. The leader of this kobold group wielded a gigantic axe. His height was over 2 meters, and he was extremely muscular. He then bared his teeth and said, "Pay attention, this is an expert." Understood. After that, the muscular kobold roared and charged toward Lu Yuan as though he was a tank. Not only so, but a kobold wielding a long sword and a kobold wielding 2 daggers also flanked the sides of the muscular kobold. Both of them were also charging at Lu Yuan. The instant the battle began between both parties, the black-rune greystone beetle and the other greystone beetles were alarmed. They turned their heads in the kobolds and Lu Yuan's direction. After that, the black-rune greystone beetle screeched as the bugs lunged toward them. The one remaining was a kobold who was roughly the height of 1.5 humans. He wielded a gigantic metal shield and a long blade. His name was Bali. When he saw the black-rune greystone beetle leading 4 beetles rushing over, a malevolent smile appeared on his face. "I cannot allow you bugs to disturb them." As he shouted, a layer of greystone armor appeared on the surface of his body. It was none other than stone skin. He then rushed alone toward the black-rune greystone beetle and the other beetles. Upon seeing Bali charging at it, the black-rune greystone beetle roared in rage and activated its own stone skin. It stretched out a sharp claw and slashed at Bali. In return, Bali lifted his gigantic shield to block the attack. Kang! Bali retreated a few steps but swiftly stabilized his posture. He revealed a malicious smile. "My defense isn't something you can break." Not caring about the black-rune greystone beetle that was roaring in rage, Bali directly swung his long blade at the other 4 normal greystone beetles. For a time, Bali managed to hold back the black-rune greystone beetle and the other 4 greystone beetles in a relaxed manner. At this moment, the muscular kobold had arrived before Lu Yuan. He roared wrathfully and clutched his battle.axe with both hands before lifting and cleaving it toward Lu Yuan. His axe then began to glow with white light. Genetic battle technique. Heavy strike. The battle.axe brimmed with violent spirit energy as it whistled through the air, moving toward its target. Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed as his heart felt somewhat heavy. He didn't expect that in such a place like the Greystone Forest, he would encounter 2 gene fighters that had engraved and recorded extraordinary genes. That violent battle.axe caused his hair to stand on its ends as he sensed the aura of danger. After that, he held his sword with both hands and maneuvered it to block the battle. Ax. Kang. Lu Yuan felt a huge impact gushing at him. As a result, his chest trembled and his body was forced back a few steps. Even his hands felt somewhat numb. While Lu Yuan was forced to retreat, the two kobolds at the side of the muscular kobold charged forward and lunged at Lu Yuan. The sword-wielding kobold on the left aimed a slash at Lu Yuan's waist, and the kobold on the right held his two daggers tightly. One of the daggers pierced at Lu Yuan's eyes and the other at his heart. Their coordination was as smooth as flowing water and was extremely cohesive. Lu Yuan felt danger, so the spirit energy in his entire body started to surge. Upon activating the battle technique, Black Iron Body, the surface of his body gleamed with an inky dark color. Two black dot-colored runes also appeared on his cheeks. After activating the Black Iron Body, his strength surged greatly and a hint of sharpness flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. He then stretched out his left hand and grabbed the dagger that was piercing toward his eyes. As for the other two attacks, Lu Yuan allowed them to slash his body. Upon seeing this, the three kobolds revealed a malicious smile. Kang. 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 The sounds of metal colliding echoed 3 times, causing the malicious smiles on the kobolds' faces to stiffen. Lu Yuan securely grabbed the dagger with his left hand, and when the other two weapons struck his body, they actually only cut open his clothes and were stuck on his skin, unable to advance any further. The two kobolds at the side could sense this the clearest. It felt like they were trying to cut metal. The vibration from the impact shook them so badly that their arms felt somewhat numb. After that, the eyes of the two kobolds violently narrowed. What? That didn't break his defense. This is impossible. The muscular kobold who was a step behind widened his eyes and cried. Mixie, be careful. Mixie, the kobold wielding the two daggers, seemed to have realized something. Fear flashed through his eyes as he wanted to retreat. However, it was too late. The bug-claw sword Lu Yuan was holding didn't block the weapon for precisely this reason. It was all for this instant. The bug-claw sword arced past the kobold Mixie's throat, causing fresh blood to spray out. Mixie's gaze slackened and fear could be seen within his eyes. But nothing could be done. His body trembled and fell to the ground. Other than Bali, who was currently entangled with the black rune greystone beetle, the other 3 kobolds watched with wide open eyes at the fallen Mixie. Disbelief flickered in their eyes. Damn, it's an expert that acts weak to prey on others. The other sword-wielding kobold fell, his hair standing on its ends. He hurriedly retreated and ran back to the muscular kobold's side as he looked warily at Lu Yuan. It was as though Lu Yuan was going to slash him apart at the next instant. Be ****. Given your strength, why would you be in a region like the Greystone Forest? Lu Yuan rubbed his chest and waist. The locations where he got hit by these two were still somewhat painful. However, his black iron body was after all pretty tough, and these two kobolds hadn't engraved or recorded any battle techniques yet, so their attacking prowess was somewhat weaker. Hence, their attacks only caused him some pain. They couldn't even deal any damage to him. At this moment, Lu Yuan stared at the muscular kobold who had an unsightly expression as he laughed. Aren't you guys pretty strong too? Since you guys can stay here, why can't I? The kobolds didn't know what to reply. Lu Yuan rubbed his throat and flashed them a radiant smile. Let's not waste time talking crap. I'm going to send you guys to meet that poor little fellow who just died. Chapter 25. A salaried worker among gene fighters. You're listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing this, the two kobolds in front of Lu Yuan immediately felt tense. At this moment, Lu Yuan's feet landed on the ground as he dragged his sword along. He then rushed at the two kobolds. As his speed was extremely quick, he arrived in front of the two kobolds in the blink of an eye. Both his hands grabbed his sword hilt tightly, and he exerted force with his entire body, executing the military swordplay and slashing his sword at the weaker kobold. The muscular kobold with the battle.ax was after all someone who had recorded and engraved a gene. Although the gene he had obtained was just a common grade gene, his strength was much greater compared to gene fighters who had not recorded or engraved a gene yet. Hence, one would naturally choose to squeeze the softer persimmon. Lu Yuan's black sword transformed into a faint shadow that slashed at the sword-wielding kobold. The sword wind that was generated from it caused the kobold's fur to become disheveled. As a result, the eyes of the sword-wielding kobold violently narrowed as a look of terror could be seen on his face. "Captain! Save me! Be ****, you dare!" The muscular kobold roared in rage. He raised his axe again and chopped at Lu Yuan. White light could be seen flowing around the axe as heavy strike was activated once more. Upon facing this battle technique, Lu Yuan naturally didn't dare to use his body to block it head-on. Although the defensive prowess of the black iron body was very strong, blocking this attack head-on would surely result in injuries. He naturally didn't want to be injured in such a place. After all, he had no recovery medicine in his hands. Hence, he stepped to the left and right, turning his body as he retracted the sword and evaded the attack from the battle axe. At the same time, his body arced to a certain degree and he spun around while unleashing a horizontal slash. Although the attacking prowess of the battle.ax was high, if one wanted to compare agility, it was naturally inferior to a sword. At the instant the battle.ax landed on the ground, Lu Yuan's sword had slashed toward the sword-wielding kobold. However, because of the slight delay, the sword-wielding kobold had enough time to react. His face was malevolent. He gritted his teeth and swung his sword in an attempt to block. The two long swords collided. Kang! An ear-splitting sound of collision rang out. After that, the sword-wielding kobold's expression changed as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body was directly sent flying under the powerful impact. The muscular kobold had a grim look on his face. He lifted his battle.ax again and chopped at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's figure moved around and easily avoided the attack. He then erupted forth in a burst and sprinted toward the injured sword-wielding kobold. Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of something breaking the air rang out. Lu Yuan saw an arrow being fired at him. This was none other than the attack from the female kobold who was standing far away. Sadly, the attacking prowess of her arrows wasn't considered strong to Lu Yuan. He stretched out his hand and caught the arrow before exerting force to snap it in twain. The female kobold had her eyes wide open as though she didn't dare to believe what she just saw. Lu Yuan didn't pause. At the same time as he caught the arrow, his body already arrived at the side of the sword-wielding kobold. Ah, ah, ah. The sword-wielding kobold howled in rage, slashing out with his sword. On the other hand, Lu Yuan's expression remained unchanged and he aimed a kick at the kobold's wrist. Ka. The wrist of the sword-wielding kobold shattered and his sword flew away. A trace of fear could be seen flickering in his eyes. At the next moment, an inky black sword light arced past. As a result, fresh blood sprayed forth from the sword-wielding kobold's neck. The light in his eyes faded and his body heavily slumped onto the ground after trembling a little. Who? As the sound of the wind breaking rang out from behind Lu Yuan, he stomped the ground with both his feet and traveled half a meter forward. The battle.ax brushed past his body and slammed into the ground. The axe penetrated the ground deeply, causing shattered tones to fly around. You ought to die. The muscular kobold roared in rage and wanted to lift his axe again for another chop. But at this moment, Lu Yuan used one of his feet to step on the battle.ax. As a result, the muscular kobold widened his eyes as shock filled his heart. Oh no! He decisively gave up the axe and aimed a heavy kick at Lu Yuan. However, Lu Yuan had trained the military fist to a relatively proficient level, so he instinctively responded with a palm strike that brushed the kobold's leg away. His long sword then slashed out at the kobold's leg. A deep wound appeared, causing the muscular kobold's face to turn white. The intense pain made the kobold stumble, so Lu Yuan punched out with his left hand. The blow was so forceful that gusts of wind were generated, and the punch landed right on the muscular kobold's face. Ka! The kobold's face contorted under the might of the heavy punch, and fresh blood spurted out. The immense might caused the muscular kobold to fall into a daze. And when he recovered, a sword light had cut his throat. Thus, he could only clutch his throat as blood seeped out from the gaps in between his fingers. Just you wait. There will be people taking revenge for us. Lu Yuan lifted his brows. He then aimed a kick at the muscular kobold's chest. Boom! The kobold's body flew back by 4 to 5 meters before it landed heavily on the ground. Lu Yuan glanced at the corpse on the ground and murmured. I don't know about revenge. In any case, you are already dead. There were 2 more. Lu Yuan turned and stared in the direction of the female kobold archer. After that, he was startled. This was because he only saw the fleeing back of the female kobold. She had reached the tunnel they entered from. Only now did he discover that this female kobold had engraved and recorded a gene. However, from her appearance, her gene should be a speed. Type 1. Her running speed was extremely quick, even somewhat faster than his. Hence, he couldn't chase her even if he wanted to. Lu Yuan. He turned his head and looked at the kobold who was still blocking the black rune greystone beetle. A hint of sympathy flashed in his eyes. Wasn't this person a little too pitiful? His comrade simply abandoned him. At this moment, Bali was still blocking the attacks from the black rune greystone beetle. The usage of battle techniques required one to consume their spirit energy, and over half of his spirit chi had been consumed, so he grew somewhat anxious as he roared in anger. Oi, are you done yet? It is just a human, have you guys not settled him yet? As he spoke, he also turned his head in their direction. After that, Bali saw the corpses of the 3 kobolds on the ground, as well as Lu Yuan who was staring at him with pity. Bali. His entire person was stunned and he fell into a daze. However, the black rune greystone beetle naturally wouldn't give Bali any chance to react. Seeing that he started, it immediately unleashed a claw attack. The claw slashed at Bali's waist. As a result, his stone skin shattered and he received a heavy attack. His countenance paled as he continuously retreated. He then came to his senses and quickly used his shield to block the excited black rune greystone beetle's next claw attack. At the same time, he couldn't help but cry out. Captain! He started to turn and looked for his remaining party mate, which was the archer. However, even after looking for a long time, he couldn't find any traces of her. The continuous distraction caused Bali to make mistakes in his defenses. He was struck a few more times by the black rune greystone beetle's attacks. His expression turned pale as sweat gradually appeared on his forehead. On the other hand, Lu Yuan smiled radiantly and walked over. Don't worry, all 3 of your comrades have died. The one remaining fled, so it will be your turn next. Bali. Cold sweat drenched his back. He blocked an attack from the black rune greystone beetle as he looked at Lu Yuan. Damnable human! You actually dared to kill my captain and teammates. We are a gene fighter team from the Vimy Corporation, and our team is responsible for accompanying the 3rd Missy to train. You actually dared to attack us. Our corporation will definitely not spare you. When Lu Yuan heard this, he furrowed his brows slightly. Gene fighters from corporations. 3rd Missy. The one who ran away earlier. He couldn't help but click his tongue, feeling somewhat speechless. He didn't expect that he would run into people from corporations. Where there were people, there would always be competition over benefits. As the land of origins contained countless treasures, the major clans and corporations of the various races in the universe would naturally want a slice of this cake. Hence, they would sign contracts with gene fighters and get the gene fighters to explore the land of origins to excavate treasures. Every large corporation and major clan would establish a force that belonged to them in the land of origins. This was the same even for humans from the Great Revelation planet. Lu Yuan had long since seen the recruitment notice posted by the Shili City's 9 Lakes Corporation on the battle web. The recruitment conditions were very good. Even gene fighters who just awakened would be able to get tens of thousands or even up to millions of starting funds. If your talent was high, they might even send you an elite-grade extraordinary gene as a gift. However, every reward had a price attached to it. Gene fighters who joined the 9 Lakes Corporation would have to at least work for 30 years for the corporation. Truthfully speaking, when he had just awakened, someone already contacted him through a call. Evidently, the various powers were paying attention to the awakening ceremony. However, Lu Yuan only awakened during his 3rd year, so the others felt that his potential wasn't great. Hence, those who contacted him belonged to small companies and small clans. Besides, the conditions they offered were very ordinary. The starting funds they were willing to give were only $10,000. Lu Yuan naturally rejected them without a second thought. What a joke, given his talent in addition to the evolution cube, did he need to join these corporations and work as a slave for them? In his previous life, he was someone who enjoyed the work schedule forced upon salaried workers. Therefore, in this life, even if you threatened to beat him to death, he no longer wanted to be a salaried worker. Actually, not only the large clans and major corporations, but there were also various government units and non-official units establishing their own forces in the land of origins. In the land of origins, gene fighters belonging to the various powers weren't few in number. In fact, one might even say that independent gene fighters were the odd ones out. To independent gene fighters, it was pretty troublesome if they ran into gene fighters from other powers. If they offended one, they might offend the entire nest. Evidently, Lu Yuan had offended one now. Moreover, the person he offended was the 3rd Missy of a corporation. This caused Lu Yuan to have a little headache. Let's hope that the female kobold could be more magnanimous. At the very least, he didn't slash her, right? Just treat it as an adventure and everything would pass with a smile. As for the guard-type kobold fighter before him, Lu Yuan looked at him and revealed a radiant smile. No matter what happens to me in the future, you would have died. Lu Yuan rushed at him and decisively slashed out his sword. At this moment, Bali was contending against the black-rune greystone beetle's attacks, while Lu Yuan didn't care for integrity and attacked him from his back. Bali only had time to widen his eyes as the back of his neck was slashed by Lu Yuan. When he died, resentment could still be seen in his eyes. He didn't die a peaceful death. Chapter 26. Refinement Limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The enemy that blocked the black-rune greystone beetle had died. Hence, it immediately let out an excited cry. After that, it stared at the new enemy, Lu Yuan. The black-rune greystone beetle screeched in anger once again as it swiped its claws at Lu Yuan. He then lifted his sword and blocked the attack. Kang! The sword and claw collided. When Lu Yuan felt the heavy strength behind the claw attack, he couldn't help but lift his eyebrows. Still okay. It's within an acceptable range. He moved forward and turned his body, borrowing its force to arrive at the black-rune greystone beetle's side. After that, the sword in his hand slashed out horizontally, arcing through the black-rune greystone beetle's stone skin. As a result, a dull sound echoed and the stone skin was sliced open, leaving behind a wound on the black-rune greystone beetle's body. The bug claw sword was after all an elite-grade genetic armament. In addition to Lu Yuan's strength, a black dot rune greystone beetle would find it hard to completely block this attack. This was the first time the black dot rune greystone beetle had suffered physical damage, so its body trembled as it let out a sharp screech. Its movement then became even more chaotic. Its sharp twin claws danced around wildly as they attacked Lu Yuan, who then evaded the attack while performing a counter-attack. As the battle continued on, more and more injuries appeared on the black dot rune greystone beetle's body. Although its injuries weren't deep, a large amount of black dot greenish blood flowed out, dyeing its body a black dot greenish color. Moreover, the continuous injuries caused the black dot rune greystone beetle's movements to become somewhat stiff. Its attack was no longer as fierce as before. It was naturally increasingly convenient for Lu Yuan to evade. A few moments later, he dodged one of the black dot rune greystone beetle's claw attacks and took the chance to plunge his sword into the beetle's eyes, penetrating its brains. GG. The black dot rune greystone beetle shrieked sharply as its body fell onto the ground. Its short legs convulsed continuously as its vitality gradually faded from it. After looking at the corpse on the ground, Lu Yuan slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air and dispelled the black iron body. In this battle, he had consumed more than half of his spirit energy. However, his battle achievements were plentiful. He had killed 4 kobolds and an elite-grade ferocious beast. I can only say that it's as expected of me. My strength is superbly strong. A white light flashed from the corpse of the black dot rune greystone beetle, and at the next instant, the white light became spirit crystals. Things were different when compared to the greystone beetle. The black dot rune greystone beetle actually dropped a total of 20 spirit crystals. It was 20 times more in comparison. Furthermore, another ball of white light also floated out from the bug's corpse and hovered above it. Inside the white ball of light, there was a somewhat simple and crude looking gray-colored armor. Lu Yuan's eyes brightened. It was a genetic armament. Although the drop rate from elite-grade ferocious beasts for common-grade genetic armament wasn't considered too low, this was a first for Lu Yuan after all. Hence, he was still very happy about it. Lu Yuan picked up the ball of light, and the relevant information about the genetic armament was transmitted to his mind. This genetic armor was called Grey Beetle Armor and was formed from a fusion of greystone beetles' armored shells. Because it was a common-grade genetic armament, it merely provided a pretty good boost to the user's defense. It wasn't the same as elite-grade armaments that could enhance strength. The style of the armor looked very crude, only providing protection for the shoulders. For the majority of other important body parts such as the chest, knees, etc., it was empty. Lu Yuan was even suspecting that the beetle who produced this armor was slacking off. No matter what, the important body parts had to be protected because there was a chance that it might save the user's life. In any case, this was the first time he obtained a genetic armament from killing an elite-grade ferocious beast. Hence, Lu Yuan didn't have too high of an expectation. It was enough as long as it could be used. In the past, just with the enhancement from the bug-claw sword, Lu Yuan's body already found it tough to endure it. Now after he recorded and engraved an extraordinary gene, his body became much stronger than before. Besides, this armor was just a common-grade one. The enhancement it provided wasn't that great, so Lu Yuan could still equip it. With his will, the Grey Beetle armor was absorbed into his body. The armor was the same as the sword. It transformed into an illusory shadow and floated in the surroundings of the genetic chain. Lu Yuan immediately felt that his defensive prowess had increased by a certain amount. However, his original defensive prowess was already very great, so the enhancement couldn't be considered a lot. After thinking about it, the armor appeared on his body and protected some of his important body parts. Lu Yuan lowered his head and looked. It does look a little ugly. He would swap it out the moment he received new armor. After that, Lu Yuan collected the black rune armor shell from the back of the black rune greystone beetle, while he also went to collect the spirit crystals and the materials from the other 4 greystone beetles. Lastly, he went to pick up the items dropped by the 4 kobolds upon their deaths. Maybe because the kobold team hadn't entered for very long, their gains were nothing much. There were only a total of 112 spirit crystals and a similar number of greystone armor shells. This caused Lu Yuan's initial hope of obtaining more gains to be dashed. He could only force himself to barely accept it. Lu Yuan only left the battle area after putting away all the items. At an area in the greystone forest that was a certain distance away from the battle area, Bertha Vimy glanced behind her. After seeing that no one was chasing her, she finally let out a sigh of relief. After that, she gritted her teeth as a malicious expression appeared on her face. She then tightened her grasp on the longbow in her hands. That damnable human, he actually dared to attack me. It's impossible for me to forget this grudge. She flipped her palm and a transparent crystal appeared. This was a communication crystal, something that could be purchased from the shops in the cities of the land of origins. It cost a considerable number of spirit crystals and could be used for communication within a certain distance from the city's location. Bertha Vimy injected her spirit energy. With an intention, the transparent crystal began to glow white. The white light flickered and very soon later, a scene appeared within the transparent crystal. It was a kobold with black skin and fur. He had a loom of respect on his face as he looked at Bertha Vimy. "Third Missy, is there something you need to contact me for?" Bertha Vimy gnashed her teeth. "My training team has been attacked. Other than me, all the others have died." Upon hearing this, the black-skinned kobold started. His eyes were wide open. "All dead? What about Lajin? Did he also die?" "I've said that everyone is dead." Bertha Vimy frowned and raised her voice somewhat impatiently. The black-skinned kobold hurriedly lowered his head. "Yes, Third Missy. Which corporation's force did you encounter?" "No, it is just a human." "A human? Third Missy, weren't you training in the Greystone Forest? How can a single human have the strength to annihilate your entire team?" The black-skinned kobold had a dumbfounded look on his face. "I also want to know the answer. How are you guys doing your job? Why isn't this human included in the information about experts of the Sandstone City? You guys took my father's money yet handed in work of such quality. I'll be speaking to my father about this matter." Bertha Vimy spoke in rage. "Third Missy, please calm your anger, this is our mistake, please allow us to make up for it." The black-skinned kobold hurriedly spoke. "Humph. I want revenge. I want to cut that human into 10,000 pieces. You guys better send more people. He is very strong, do not allow him to escape. Third Missy, please relax, I will immediately gather our men." The black-skinned kobold hurriedly spoke. "Humph. I will wait here for you all." When Bertha Vimy heard these words, the ice-cold look on her face dissipated somewhat. She enunciated her words slowly before cutting the communication. As she looked at the transparent crystal, she recalled the humiliation once more. Hence, she clutched her longbow and gritted her teeth. Eldest brother and second sister's training were very smooth, but why did I encounter something so troublesome? Damnable human, just you wait. I'll make you regret offending me, Bertha Vimy. As Lu Yuan traveled, he also absorbed the spirit crystals. There were a total of 130 plus crystals, and Lu Yuan only needed a short time to absorb over 100 of them. At this moment, the lower part of the genetic chain in his body began to glow with resplendent white light. The refinement rate had reached roughly about 8%. However, Lu Yuan discovered that the efficiency of his refinement via absorption of spirit crystals became lower and lower. Moreover, he could faintly feel some pain in his body. Lu Yuan suspected it was because he had absorbed too many spirit crystals in a short amount of time, causing his refinement speed to be too quick. These factors should be why such a situation appeared. After all, other than him, were there any other probationary gene fighters who could absorb over 100 spirit crystals in 10 minutes and use them to refine the genetic chain? If his speed was known by others, everyone would surely be frightened to death. Even if his absorption speed could keep up, his body wouldn't be able to endure such quick refinement speed. Right now, he most probably had reached the limit of refinement within such a short period. If he continued to refine his genetic chain, he felt that his body might crumble apart. He had to slow down. Furthermore, even if he didn't use spirit crystals to refine the genetic chain, he could still absorb them. He could give the energy to the evolution cube and make preparations for the black iron body's evolution. Lu Yuan made an estimation. The amount of spirit energy he needed to evolve an elite.grade gene to the boss.grade was roughly 5,000 spirit crystals. The quantity was so high that it sounded ridiculous. However, there would only be gains if there was effort. Using a few thousand spirit crystals to exchange for a breakthrough was an extremely profitable transaction. Lu Yuan absorbed another 10+ spirit crystals. However, he suddenly paused when he thought of something. Oh right, he still couldn't afford to offend any corporations yet. Maybe, they might come and find trouble with me, I should prepare some trump cards. Lu Yuan saw that there were only 20+ spirit crystals remaining, hence, he decided to stop absorbing them. At the same time, he increased his speed and ran toward the exit of the Greystone Forest. As long as he departed the Greystone Forest, the people from the corporation could try and find him there however they wanted. Chapter 27. Sandstone Underground Palace, Sneak Attack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is it. The Sandstone Underground Palace. Right now, Lu Yuan was no longer in the Greystone Forest. He was located in a dry and cracked barren area. Right in front of him was a hole leading underground. The hole was about 4 to 5 meters in width. Further down, there were stairs extending in. There was also a torch hung on the walls after every short distance. This was the biggest underground maze in Sandstone City, the Sandstone Underground Palace. There were a variety of ferocious beasts inside, from weak to strong. Moreover, there were quite a lot of them. Not only that, but if one was lucky, they might be able to encounter relics and some precious treasures in the underground palace. Of course, the main reason Lu Yuan had come to this place was because the paths in the Sandstone Underground Palace were very complex. He had offended a corporation after all. As he was still not strong enough, he'd have more escape routes in such a complex area. There were several tens of underground passageways heading for the Sandstone Underground Palace. This place was one of them. The entrance outside the underground palace was very lively, with many gene fighters around. Heading to the northern part of the underground palace to kill berserk lizards. Short of one control-type fighter. Gains will be split equally. Detoxification potion. Selling detoxification potions. Everyone knows about the effect of black scorpion's venom. You won't be anxious if you have a detoxification potion with you. There's limited stock. Those who wish to buy should be quick. Common.grade short blade. Hurry if you want it. 180 spirit crystals. No bargaining. There were people shouting out for all sorts of reasons, and the place outside the entrance was almost turning into a small-scaled marketplace. However, Lu Yuan could understand this. The Sandstone Underground Palace was one of the areas in the Sandstone City with the most number of gene fighters. Places with people would have all sorts of business opportunities. Lu Yuan's gaze swept around and he saw that most of the gene fighters who were planning to enter the underground palace formed parties to enter. He only seemed to have seen 3 to 4 people who went alone like he did. Each of these people who went solo wore armor made of leather or other materials, held weapons, and were fully equipped. They seemed like they had strong dispositions. The Sandstone Underground Palace wasn't an area like the Greystone Forest. The danger level of this place far surpassed that of the Greystone Forest. Those people who could go around the place by themselves were mostly quite strong. Otherwise, they'd just be giving their lives away. Lu Yuan was alone and naturally also attracted some people's attention. Some Jin fighters looked at him and quickly averted their gazes. Lu Yuan paid them no heed and entered the passageway, heading down the steps. Other than Lu Yuan, there were two other parties, one consisting of 4 catfolks, while another consisting of 2 elves and 2 catfolks. On the way, the two parties and Lu Yuan were all very quiet. Lu Yuan's gaze would occasionally sweep at the two parties. He realized that they were also throwing glances toward each other. Everyone was on their guard. After heading down for a distance, the shouts outside couldn't be heard anymore. There were only the sounds of footsteps when armors moved and boots landed on the ground. The atmosphere was very quiet. After a while, everyone arrived at the end of the stairs. It was a small piece of empty land that had a radius of about 50 meters or so, and there were 4 passageways on one side of the land. Lu Yuan's gaze swept out. He didn't care what the other two parties thought and headed straight for the one on the extreme right. After Lu Yuan left, the members of the two parties communicated amongst themselves through their gazes and entered 2 other passageways. After Lu Yuan entered the passageway on the extreme right, he came into a few more diverted paths not long later. Not knowing his way around, he randomly picked a direction. The deeper he entered the underground palace, the wider the paths inside were. After walking for a distance, from the original few meters, the passageways had become over 20 meters wide. However, after walking for so long, Lu Yuan hadn't encountered a single ferocious beast. Toward this, Lu Yuan didn't find it surprising either. After all, this was an area close to an entrance. Even though there were many routes in the underground palace, this place was probably one that other people had taken before. The road before him was still very long and Lu Yuan wasn't anxious at all. After taking a few more diverted routes, the passageway that Lu Yuan was in was already around 30 meters wide. He looked at the surroundings and still didn't discover any traces of ferocious beasts. Lu Yuan raised his brows and continued advancing forth. Just as he passed by a pile of crushed stones, a stone that was the size of a human head suddenly flew up toward the back of Lu Yuan's head at extremely high speed. Lu Yuan sensed the strong wind coming from behind his head and was shocked. As a result, he stomped both of his legs hard to the ground and then moved a distance away to the side. Instantly, a piece of stone flew by Lu Yuan's head. Lu Yuan's pupils contracted. Where did this stone attack come from? He had checked the surroundings earlier and didn't discover any ferocious beast's existence. Hence, he turned and looked in the direction where the stone had come from. His eyes then opened wide. In a corner where there was a pile of stones, many pieces of crushed stones were floating up. Then, all the crushed stones gathered to form a stoneman that was 1.8 meters tall. To think that there's such a life form. Lu Yuan was a little stunned. Just then, another gust of wind blew behind his back again. He quickly dodged a second time. A piece of stone that was the size of a human head flew over and eventually landed on the stoneman's right hand. As the stoneman raised its stone fists that were the size of 2 sandbags, it started crying out. Lu Yuan found it hard to understand how this stoneman made sounds. However, he didn't have the leeway to think too much into it. At this moment, the stoneman was waving its fists and charging toward him. The stoneman's heavy footsteps landed on the ground, making thudding sounds. Lu Yuan furrowed his brows. His long sword appeared and he looked at the stoneman with a hint of solemnity. The stoneman quickly arrived in front of Lu Yuan, swinging its right fist toward him. Its fists brought about howling strong wind with an astonishing disposition. Its speed wasn't slow but was still a little slower compared to Lu Yuan. So, Lu Yuan turned and dodged the stoneman's fist. He then slashed out his long sword toward the part where its head was connected to its body. Kang! The long sword clashed with the stones, making a clanking sound. Thereafter, the long sword left behind a deep crack on the stone. The tremendous force caused the stoneman's body to back off a few steps. Seeing this, Lu Yuan understood how strong his stoneman was. It was a lot stronger compared to greystone beetles but was weaker than black-rune greystone beetles. When compared to gene fighters, it was about the strength of a probational fighter who hadn't engraved and recorded any gene and had a refinement degree of about 40%. Given Lu Yuan's capabilities, it wasn't much of a threat to him. The only troublesome thing was that this stoneman was a little crafty. It could turn into crushed stone piles and launch sneak attacks. One wouldn't be able to tell from appearance alone. Stones shouldn't be underestimated. After ascertaining its strength, Lu Yuan started to launch a series of fierce attacks with his sword. It wasn't long before he smashed the stoneman's head. After crushing the stoneman's head, its body stopped connecting to each other like it had done before. They turned into crushed stones and scattered all over onto the ground. After that, white light flashed as 3 spirit crystals condensed amongst the crushed stones. There were more of them compared to greystone beetles. Lu Yuan broke into a hint of a smile and picked them up. Other than spirit crystals, Lu Yuan also saw a white pebble-like spherical stone. Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows and picked it up. The information was sent to Lu Yuan's mind. Small stoneman's heart. Common-grade material. Can be used to refine genetic armaments and genetic potions. Small stoneman's heart. So this thing was a small stoneman. Lu Yuan took a look at the crushed stones on the ground and broke into a hint of realization. When he investigated the sandstone underground palace, he had read about the types of ferocious beasts that could be found here. Hence, he knew about small stone men. However, the post didn't give a concrete introduction to the ferocious beasts' habits. Lu Yuan didn't expect that small stone men would be so crafty. Thankfully, he wasn't weak. Otherwise, he'd have fallen prey to it. After this lesson, Lu Yuan decided to constantly activate his black iron body for the rest of his exploration. This would assure his defensive capabilities. It'd prevent him from falling to ferocious beasts that might appear out of nowhere. If that happened, he would have nowhere to cry. If it was someone else, it wouldn't be practical to constantly have their battle technique activated. After all, such defensive battle techniques required continuous depletion of one's spirit energy, and one wouldn't have enough spirit energy to sustain such continuous activation. However, things were different for Lu Yuan. The rate at which he absorbed spirit crystals was fast, and he could constantly replenish his spirit energy. It was effortless for him to constantly activate Black Iron Body. After activating the Black Iron Body, Lu Yuan continued to head deeper into the underground palace. This time around, he started to pay attention to the crushed stone piles by the paths. It wasn't long before he saw 2 crushed stone piles not far away. Lu Yuan raised his brows and walked over slowly. As expected, when he got close, 2 pieces of stone on top of each pile flew toward Lu Yuan. Humph. You're still thinking of launching a sneak attack on me. Lu Yuan dodged the sneak attacks and then killed them. Each small stoneman dropped 3 spirit crystals. However, only one small stoneman dropped a small stoneman's heart. As expected, a material like this wouldn't be dropped by every small stoneman. Lu Yuan continued advancing. He hadn't walked far when he heard the sound of fighting coming from the passageway in front. Lu Yuan raised his brows and then frowned slightly as he looked at the next passageway. If possible, Lu Yuan didn't wish to meddle in other people's business. If he were to encounter someone strong that he couldn't afford to offend, things would become troublesome. However, there were no other passageways but this one here. He had nowhere to hide. Left with no choice, Lu Yuan could only advance, planning to go check out the situation. Chapter 28. Hunters, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yuan had only taken a few steps when he saw a crimson light flash in front of him. A fireball came flying over from the darkness deep within the passageway. Lu Yuan's pupils contracted and he quickly dodged to the side. Boom! The fireball landed on the stone wall not far away from Lu Yuan, making an exploding sound. Flames seethed and heat waves came gushing over. Lu Yuan took a look at the charred and cracked stone wall and his lips twitched. He then looked into the depths of the passageway. The sounds of anxious footsteps rang out and 4 human fighters were fleeing in this direction. There were 3 catfolks behind them. One of the catfolks was wearing a mage robe and holding a wooden magic staff. Spirit energies were seething around him, and a fireball the size of a head appeared on the top of the magic staff, shooting out. The 4 humans quickly dodged and the fireball shot toward where Lu Yuan was at. Lu Yuan. This was really a disaster that was uncalled for. He quickly dodged as well. Boom. The fireball hit the walls again, exploding. Lu Yuan took a look. Another hole had appeared on the wall. The great prowess made Lu Yuan feel uncontrollably shocked. When the 4 human fighters saw Lu Yuan, they were first stunned. After that, the guard-type fighter who had a tall figure and was the leader of the group quickly said. "Friend, those catfolks behind us are hunters. Hurry up and run." Upon hearing that, Lu Yuan's pupils contracted slightly. Hunters referred to a type of gene fighters. In the land of origins, if a gene fighter were to die, their gains from the current trip would drop and they would receive mental damage as well, which would delay their next trip to the land of origins for a very long time. Hence, most gene fighters had a certain degree of resistance and avoidance toward a battle to the death. However, this wasn't the case for some gene fighters. They didn't wish to hunt ferocious beasts themselves, to go on adventures to obtain treasures. Instead, they targeted other gene fighters. They specially hunted other gene fighters to obtain various resources, and this group of gene fighters was referred to as hunters. Hunters were generally stronger than ordinary gene fighters. Of course, if they weren't strong, it'd be impossible for them to hunt other gene fighters to obtain resources. It was because of this that if one were to encounter hunters, gene fighters who were lucky would be able to escape. If they were unlucky, they might leave the place dead. Lu Yuan didn't expect to encounter hunters when he had just come to the sandstone underground palace. When the human fighters saw Lu Yuan, the few catfolk hunters naturally saw him as well. They broke into a smile. "I didn't expect that there's one more. Let's kill him too." There were only 3 catfolk hunters, but when facing Lu Yuan and the other 4 humans, the situation was like hunters versus their prey. A cat girl with an amazing figure, wearing black leather armor and holding a longbow, licked her lips. "This human guy is quite handsome. It's such a pity." She pulled her bow and a faint red glow flashed on the arrow. After releasing the arrow, it tore through the air with a piercing screech, shooting toward Lu Yuan. Seeing this, the 4 human fighters opened their eyes big. "Watch out. This arrow is very powerful." Previously, a few of their companions had been killed by this arrow. Lu Yuan frowned slightly and blocked with his long sword. Kang! A deafening sound rang out and Lu Yuan's arm trembled slightly, turning a little numb from the tremendous force. He felt a little surprised inside. This prowess was many times stronger than the 3rd Missy from the 5 Kobold party. As expected of an archer who had engraved and recorded an extraordinary gene. Moreover, the gene this person had engraved and recorded was probably an extraordinary gene that specially raised the prowess of bow and arrows. Seeing that Lu Yuan managed to block the arrow without taking a step back, the 3 catfolk hunters' eyes narrowed. "Be careful. This guy isn't weak." Seeing that Lu Yuan was able to block this arrow, the 4 human fighters were all stunned. Then, they broke into a surprised smile. "It is an expert. Friend. We'll help you." The guard-type fighter, who was the leader, saw that Lu Yuan was strong. Hence, he gritted his teeth and immediately prepared to retaliate. Most hunters were gene fighters who were agile and had fast speed. They mostly tried to kill their targets instantly or flee upon failure. When facing hunters, fleeing was just a helpless option people had no choice but to take. With the opportunity to retaliate, fighters with rich combat experience would naturally not give up on it. Although this guard-type fighter was covered in wounds, he showed no hesitation at all. When the other gene fighters heard this, they were stunned for a moment. However, they clearly had strong trust in the guard-type fighter. After coming back to their senses, they immediately made preparations to fight. F***ck them. F***ck, these 3 B*****, killed Shao Qi and the others. Let's avenge them. Seeing that the 4 gene fighters were ready for battle, the 3 catfolk hunters revealed disdainful smiles. Humph, futile attempt. I'll hold back that human fighter. You guys deal with them. The cat-girl archer broke into a smile, and her sharp green cat eyes looked at Lu Yuan. The other 2 cat guy hunters were an elemental-type fighter, who had grasped a fireball battle technique, and an attack-type fighter holding a longsword respectively. The attack-type cat guy swordsman used his battle technique, and his skin turned slightly red. His speed surged by a notch, and he charged toward the 4 gene fighters. He said coldly, "That guard-type guy isn't weak, so kill the others first. Let's target that sword wielder. Don't worry, as long as you can mess up their formation, we can kill them all." The elemental-type cat guy hunter who was wearing a mage robe smiled and then started to condense a fireball again. Amongst the 4 human gene fighters, the sword-wielding attack-type fighter looked the youngest. He still had a hint of childishness on his face as well, seeming to be about Lu Yuan's age. When he saw that the cat guy hunters had turned their gazes to him, his countenance turned pale and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. The guard-type fighter was a middle-aged guy with a calm appearance. He let out a cold snort and pierced his shield that was about the height of a person fiercely into the ground. "You'll have to get through me first." The cat guy swordsman's lips curled up, and he charged up to the guard-type fighter with an explosive speed. After assuming a strange stance, the cat guy swordsman held onto his sword with both hands, took in a deep breath, and then let out a fierce bellow. The long sword slashed out horizontally and white air currents appeared on the sword. Kang! The long sword and shield clashed. After that, the guard-type fighter's countenance turned pale. He let out a stifled grunt and took half a step back. He had many injuries on his body to begin with. Hence, after receiving this attack, his wounds opened up again and blood was flowing out. The cat guy swordsman's tone sounded relaxed. "You're considered quite strong to be able to receive my berserk blood battle technique in addition to my heavy sword slash. It's a pity that you're injured. Everyone, attack together." Seeing that the guard-type fighter was being suppressed, the remaining 3 human fighters all opened their eyes wide and attacked the cat guy swordsman. The cat guy swordsman let out a light snort and moved to dodge the 3 human fighters' attacks. Just then, a fireball came shooting over, flying toward the young human swordsman. The human swordsman's pupils contracted when he sensed the scorching temperature, and a hint of fear appeared on his face. He rolled to the ground and avoided the fireball. Boom! The fireball erupted on the ground and the 3 human fighters' formation was broken up. Seeing this, the cat guy swordsman let out a savage laugh and then slashed out repeatedly with a furious bellow, attacking the guard-type fighter through various tricky stances. The guard-type fighter was worn out from all the blocking, and the wounds on his body were getting increasingly worse. Blood gushed out and his face gradually turned pale. When the cat guy swordsman saw the guard-type fighter's defense gradually wearing out, he broke into a savage smile. The other 3 wanted to help but were suppressed by the cat guy elementalist's fireballs. They could only keep on dodging. Just when the situation was bad for the human gene fighters, an agonizing cry rang out. The cat guy swordsman and elementalist's countenances changed. They turned to look in the other direction. The cat girl's face was ghastly pale, and a black longsword had pierced through her stomach. Lu Yuan held onto the longsword with a cold expression. He also had an arrow pierced into his armor at his shoulder. The cat girl was very strong, and the prowess of her arrows was very great. She was also very agile. If they were in a spacious area, Lu Yuan wouldn't have been able to deal with her. After all, the gene he had engraved and recorded was more inclined toward being defensive. Its speed was very mediocre. He could fend off the arrow's attacks but wouldn't be able to catch up to the cat girl. However, they were in an underground palace now. The entire passageway was only about 30 meters wide, and the rest of the area was used by the others in their fight. Moreover, the cat girl had had to hold back Lu Yuan, not letting him rush over to the battle over there and give the cat guy swordsman pressure. Hence, this greatly reduced the area in which the cat girl could dodge, and Lu Yuan could keep on pushing the cat girl to a corner with his powerful defense, eventually forcing her into a corner. Despite this, when Lu Yuan launched his final charge, the cat girl still shot out an arrow that was hard for him to dodge. Thankfully, he turned his body slightly at the last moment, causing the arrow, which was aimed at his heart, to hit his shoulder. He was wearing the greystone beetle armor, which fended off a portion of the arrow's prowess. Furthermore, there was his powerful black iron body. In the end, the arrow had only pierced through Lu Yuan's flesh and didn't even reach his bones, let alone pierce through his body. It could only be considered a light wound. Moly. When the two cat guy hunters saw this scene, their eyes opened wide and they let out a furious bellow concurrently. Damn it! The cat guy swordsman immediately gave up on the guard-type fighter who was reaching his limits and turned to dash toward Lu Yuan. The other cat guy elementalist also condensed a fireball toward Lu Yuan with a cold expression. On the other hand, Lu Yuan squinted his eyes, his expression cold. He drew out the bug claw sword and Moly fell to the ground, panting. Blood was gushing out quickly from her stomach area, dyeing the floor red. Chapter 29. Repel, classmate, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Be *starred. The cat guy swordsman dashed up to Lu Yuan. By using a strange breathing rhythm, an air current appeared on his longsword, and he slashed it out toward Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan also swung his sword toward the cat guy swordsman with his military swordplay. Kang! When both swords clashed, sparks splattered and they were both pushed back a step. Lu Yuan's pupils contracted slightly. This guy was a little strong. It had to be known that Lu Yuan had engraved and recorded an elite-grade gene. He didn't expect that despite this, he wasn't able to win against this cat guy in strength. It was because the refinement rate of Lu Yuan's gene wasn't high enough. If his refinement rate had reached 50% or higher, things wouldn't have been so troublesome. It was a pity that refinement rate was something accumulated with time. He couldn't help it either. The speed of his refinement was actually considered very fast as it was. After the first sword collision, the cat guy swordsman immediately changed his footsteps, and his body moved horizontally for a distance. At that exact moment, a fireball flew out from behind the cat guy swordsman, shooting toward Lu Yuan. The scorching temperature caused Lu Yuan's pupils to contract intensely. Without thinking, he instinctively kicked into the ground and dashed toward the left. As a result, the fireball passed by Lu Yuan, and the high temperature caused a charred scent on his head. Even with the defense of black iron body, if Lu Yuan took on this attack forcibly, he'd suffer serious injuries. When Lu Yuan dodged, the cat guy swordsman pushed forth once again, slashing his long sword out. Still unsteady, Lu Yuan could only hurriedly put up a block with his sword. Kang! He backed off a few steps. The moment he did, another fireball came flying over. Just like this, he could only dodge again. The cat guy swordsman and the elementalist had smooth teamwork, their attacks connecting well. Hence, Lu Yuan was suppressed by them. Just then, the guard-type human fighter had recovered some strength, so he strode forward, dashing toward the cat guy elementalist in the distance. Seeing that the guard-type fighter had come charging over, the cat guy elementalist's countenance changed. He launched out a fireball toward him. The guard-type fighter raised his shield and blocked the fireball. Boom! The fireball exploded on the shield. However, the guard-type fighter let out a stifled grunt and took a step back. He bellowed, "What are you guys still waiting for? Everyone, attack this elementalist." The other three came back to their senses from their sorry plight, charging toward the cat guy elementalist. Upon seeing this, the elemental-type fighter's brows furrowed. Xie. The gaze of Xie, the cat guy swordsman who was attacking Lu Yuan, flickered. Ha! As he let out a loud bellow, his arms bulged up and all the skin on his body became redder. He then grabbed onto his long sword tightly and slashed it down fiercely. The intense sword wind blew and Lu Yuan's hair fluttered. As a result, Lu Yuan's gaze flickered and he grabbed tightly onto his long sword as well, activating the black iron body at full power. Spirit energy gushed and the long sword blocked in front of his body. Kang! A power that was stronger than earlier caused Lu Yuan to take a few steps back. Taking this opportunity, the cat guy swordsman backed off and arrived in front of the cat girl, Molly, who had fallen. He picked Molly up and then retreated. Spirit energy seethed through the elemental-type fighter's body, and he kept on launching fireballs one after another, not caring for his spirit energy depletion as he quickly suppressed everyone. At the same time, he quickly retreated with the cat guy swordsman. The three of them quickly hid in the depths of the underground palace's passageway. Lu Yuan's speed couldn't be compared to cat guy. Moreover, there was also the fireball suppression from the cat guy elementalist. Therefore, he didn't dare to head on forward and merely frowned and watched as they made their escape. As for the other four gene fighters, they heaved a sigh of relief upon seeing the three hunters leaving. It was as if they had turned weak. This was especially so for the guard-type fighter. His shield was pierced into the ground for support and he kept on panting. Lu Yuan took a look at him and realized that he was covered in blood, his countenance extremely pale. After getting a breather, the guard-type fighter rummaged around and a crystal bottle with red liquid appeared in his hand. He then opened the crystal bottle's lid with his mouth and drank the liquid inside. After a short while, Lu Yuan saw that the guard-type fighter's complexion looked better and his panting wasn't as heavy as well. The wounds that were bleeding also stopped bleeding within a short time. Lu Yuan knew that this was a recovery potion. It was a type of genetic potion that could hasten the recovery of one's wounds. He had thought of buying a bottle of that earlier, but just a recovery potion used by probational fighters would cost $8,000 a bottle. He couldn't afford it at all. After the guard-type fighter drank the recovery potion, he looked toward Lu Yuan and broke into a smile. "Friend, it's all thanks to you this time around. Otherwise, the four of us would probably not be able to escape." Lu Yuan shook his head. "Even without you guys, if I were to encounter hunters, they wouldn't let me off either. To speak the truth, if Lu Yuan were to encounter those three cat folks by himself, without these few people to help hold them off, he'd probably have to pay quite a big price to be able to escape." He could tell that the cat guy swordsman and elementalist had quite a good teamwork. Moreover, each of them was probably not weaker than him, so it was too hard to take all three of them by himself. He was still a little weak. Lu Yuan felt that he had to continue to work hard. As for the matters today, he could only consider himself unlucky. Lu Yuan took a look at the arrow on his shoulder and pulled it out hard. The pain caused him to frown. After taking a look at the blood that was flowing slowly, Lu Yuan felt that he probably had to prepare some medicine too. Not just recovery potions. He also had to prepare some speed explosion potions and strength explosion potions as well. He'd have them as trump cards to handle different situations. However, all of these would need money. Lu Yuan suddenly realized one thing. He was dirt poor. Just then, an uncertain voice rang out. You are Lu Yuan. Both Lu Yuan and the guard-type fighter were stunned, and they looked in the direction of the voice. It was the young-looking attack-type fighter who was holding onto a longsword. He was quite an elegant-looking young man. Right now, this young man was looking at Lu Yuan with a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. Lu Yuan looked at this young man and found him a little familiar, but he couldn't recall who the latter was. You are. The young man's eyes opened wide and he let out a cry of disbelief. You are really Lu Yuan. I'm Xueming. Xueming. The one from the same class as you. The Xueming who has undergone awakening in second year. Hearing this, Lu Yuan suddenly recalled something. Xueming. So it's you. Gene Fighter's awakening ceremony was held once a year, a total of 3 times in the 3 years of high school. This Xueming was a Gene Fighter from his class who had awakened when they were in the second year. As Gene Fighters needed to cultivate and enter the land of origins, they had little time to attend classes. Hence, the last time Xueming attended a class was 4 months ago. The original Lu Yuan was unrelated to this matter and was considered to be from 2 different worlds with Xueming. Therefore, Lu Yuan couldn't recall Xueming's appearance too clearly. He hadn't even realized that this was his classmate. The guard-type fighter couldn't help but ask. Little Xue, you guys know each other? Xueming nodded. Leader, he's my classmate. After saying that, he looked at Lu Yuan with astonishment in his eyes. I saw in the classmates group chat that you have awakened this time around and it has only been a few days. Why are you so strong? What? Hearing this, the other few also let out surprised cries. All of them looked at Lu Yuan with astonishment. The guard-type fighter also looked stunned. Friend, did you just awaken? A skinny young man holding 2 short swords looked very envious. It has been 3 years since my awakening, but I haven't even made a breakthrough to tier 1. Aren't you too strong? Another elegant-looking lady holding a longbow stared at Lu Yuan and said, smiling. Lu Yuan, aren't you too amazing? Can you teach me how to get stronger? Lu Yuan understood that he seemed a little strong from their point of view. He smiled. I was lucky and opened a chest before, receiving some gains. That's why my capabilities are passable. Hearing these, the few of them fell silent. Treasure chests depended on one's luck. It could only be said that Lu Yuan's good luck made others envious. Since Lu Yuan wasn't planning on chatting too much with others about this matter, he smiled and said. Your condition doesn't seem too good, does it? Are you heading back? The few of them came back to their senses and then the guard-type nodded, smiling bitterly. This trip to the underground palace is a huge loss. Putting aside that we didn't have gains, we've pretty much used up our medicine. We even lost 3 party members, so we plan on returning and reorganizing first. Xueming looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan, what about you? I have just come in and plan to continue to explore. Hearing this, the guard-type fighter gave it some thought before saying. Then you'll have to be careful. Those 2 cat guy hunters have escaped. If they were to encounter you alone, they'd probably make a move against you. Moreover, that cat girl archer seems like she hasn't died. As they should have some medicine, she might be able to recover too. Lu Yuan nodded. I know. When he saw the guard-type fighter taking out a recovery potion, he had thought of this problem too. He should have stabbed her one more time. It was a pity that he hadn't thought of the possibility of them having recovery potions with them. Moreover, that cat guy swordsman had come very fast. He suddenly felt his head aching a little. Wasn't the reason he came to the underground palace because he wanted to avoid that Vimy Corporation's pursuit? Why did he offend more people when he had just come? Aren't things too hard on me? I just wanted to develop in peace. Since you know, then I won't say much. Be careful. N. Do you have a communication crystal? Should we add each other? I haven't bought one. Lu Yuan hadn't returned to Sandstone City, and he didn't have the spirit crystals to buy this thing either. The guard-type fighter revealed a regretful expression. Alright then, we'll be heading off first. Zhuo Ming looked at Lu Yuan and said, smiling. Lu Yuan, I'll be heading off first then. Be careful. Oh, right, I'll add you after I go out. Let's keep in touch on light chat. Lu Yuan thought about it and didn't refuse. He nodded. All right. Chapter 30. Sound of door opening in the wee hours. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yuan bade goodbye to Zhuo Ming's party and then continued to head deep into the underground palace. On the way, Lu Yuan became even more careful, fearing that the three catfolk hunters would pop out of nowhere. As he explored deeper inside, he encountered more ferocious beasts and he also gained more spirit crystals and materials. Other than keeping a portion of spirit crystals to replenish his spirit energy, he used all the rest on the evolution cube, wanting to evolve the black iron body. Lu Yuan thought of wanting to get stronger quickly. Refining genetic chain was one way of doing it, and the other way was of course to evolve extraordinary genes. After he managed to evolve the black iron body to the boss. Grade, maybe only a few amongst the probational fighters could be his match. Those who could engrave and record boss. Grade genes were probably the very top-notch geniuses, right? At the thought of this, Lu Yuan was filled with anticipation. In a secluded corner of the underground palace, Xie and the elementalist came to a stop with the seriously injured Moli. Moli had sunk into a coma, and Xie placed him down gently. After that, the elementalist took a look at Moli's stomach. The horrible sword wound had stopped bleeding, leaving behind a curved scar. How is it? Xie asked. She has taken the recovery potion. At least, her life is no longer in danger. Xie took a look at the unconscious Moli and frowned slightly. However, her injuries are too serious. It'll probably take a few days for a common. Grade recovery potion to fully cure her. Humph. I didn't expect us to encounter a tough nut. It's really unlucky. The elementalist's countenance was grim. It's true. That human is strong. His strength isn't weak and his defense can go against Moli's arrow. He's probably stronger than any of us. However, his speed seems mediocre. He has probably engraved and recorded a guard-type extraordinary gene. If it was in a spacious area, we'd be able to toy with him however we wanted. Underground palaces give guard-type fighters like him too much of an advantage. Xie paid no heed to the elementalist's complaints. He then sat down on the floor, took out a piece of dried anchovies, and started eating it. A loss is a loss. When one is a hunter for long, there'll come a day that they'll become the hunted. After Moli's injuries have recovered, we'll just find a new prey. The elementalist sat down by Xie's side, looked at the dried anchovies in his hand, and then gulped. Auntie made it. Give me one. Xie rolled his eyes and took out a piece of anchovies to pass it to the elementalist. The elementalist took a bite happily and said with a cold expression. That human fighter probably won't leave the underground palace anytime soon. We might have a chance to encounter him again. We can take revenge then. Xie also narrowed his eyes, having a hint of killing intent in them. Somewhere in the underground palace, Lu Yuan passed by a corner carefully. All of a sudden, a thin, long black shadow came piercing over from the side. The black shadow was extremely fast. Lu Yuan wasn't even able to react in time and could only raise his hand to block it. Kang! The black shadow pierced Lu Yuan's arm, making a clanking sound. At this moment, Lu Yuan felt a power that was neither strong nor weak, and he took a step back. A sharp and piercing screech rang out. Now, Lu Yuan saw a black scorpion pouncing over from the shadows. The scorpion was entirely black, about the same color as the underground palace walls. In a dark area without candlelight illumination, it was almost impossible to see it. Its two pincers were about half a meter, and its scorpion tail gleamed with a cold light. The long and slender black shadow was clearly this scorpion tail. Seeing this creature, Lu Yuan took a step back and dodged the pincer, which the scorpion used to clamp toward his head. The black scorpion didn't pause. When the first hit missed, it charged toward Lu Yuan again after it landed. Its two pincers were very big and its tail was very tall. After getting close to Lu Yuan, its pincer came clamping toward Lu Yuan's leg. At the same time, its tail also came piercing over. Lu Yuan used his footwork and dodged its pincer. At the same time, it slashed out with its long sword, its sharp sword edge brushing past the scorpion's tail, chopping it off. Pitch-black blood spurted out from its wound, and the scorpion let out an agonizing cry. It then used its pincer to attack Lu Yuan again. Lu Yuan moved agilely and dodged the attacks easily. In the end, he thrust the sword into the scorpion's head, killing it. The dead scorpion dropped 3 spirit crystals. After that, Lu Yuan collected the scorpion's tails and pincers. Sandstone black scorpion's venomous metasoma. Common-grade material, strong venom, can be refined into genetic potions. Sandstone black scorpion's huge pincers. Common-grade material, can be refined into genetic armaments. When Lu Yuan saw this information, cold sweat immediately broke out. This was a black scorpion. When he was outside the underground palace, Lu Yuan heard someone calling out to sell detoxification potions for black scorpion's venom. This caused him to take note of black scorpions. He didn't expect that the black scorpion was so crafty too. The color of its pitch-black outer shell was very close to that of the underground palace's walls. If it were to squat in a dark shadowy corner that was far from a torch, who'd be able to see it? It'd be hard for ordinary gene fighters to fend off such sneak attacks. Thankfully, his defense was strong enough. This black scorpion's venomous stinger hadn't managed to pierce through his skin. Otherwise, he felt that it might be over for him if he were to get poisoned. Lu Yuan discovered that the ferocious beasts in the underground palace were all extremely crafty. It was the same for the small stone men and this black scorpion. It seemed that when he came next time, he'd had to check up on the concrete habits of the ferocious beasts in the sandstone underground palace. Otherwise, who knew what other crafty ferocious beasts he might encounter next time? After this sneak-attack incident with the black scorpion, Lu Yuan felt happy for his brilliance once again. Thankfully, he had chosen a guard-type extraordinary gene. If he had chosen an attack-type extraordinary gene, then things would be over for him. Although guard-type genes weren't comparable to attack-type genes in terms of attack, in terms of survival capabilities, it was really good. It was very suitable for him, who went alone solo. Lu Yuan felt more confident and started exploring again. As he entered deeper into the underground palace, there were more and more black scorpions. He would often encounter them as he would the small stone men. Moreover, the more ferocious beasts Lu Yuan killed, the more spirit crystals he gathered. All the time, he hunted in the underground palace, eating or drinking when he was hungry or thirsty. If he was tired, he'd find a concealed corner to set up his tent and sleep. One's concept of time in the underground palace wasn't as clear as it was outside. After all, there were almost no changes to the environment. At this moment, Lu Yuan managed to gather 600 to 700 spirit crystals. Out of which, over 500 of them were used by Lu Yuan to replenish the evolution cube. After that, he also slowly refined his genetic chain with close to 100 of them. After refining his genetic chain to around 10%, his power rose a little again. For the remaining spirit crystals, he kept them, planning to use them as backup spirit energy. It was unknown how long had passed when Lu Yuan noticed a serious problem. His supplies were almost running out, and the cube that was about 3 meters in radius was also filled with all sorts of materials. Even if he continued hunting ferocious beasts, he probably wouldn't be able to store the materials. Hence, Lu Yuan thought of making a trip out to the small marketplace at the entrance to sell the materials. There were people collecting materials at the marketplace, and the trade would be paid for with spirit crystals. Just then, white mist seethed once again in Lu Yuan's genetic chain area. The light door appeared. Lu Yuan was stunned. It's time to go out. But that was good too. Lu Yuan didn't hesitate and connected to the door of light with his mind directly. At the next instant, his vision turned black. When Lu Yuan opened his eyes once again, he was already in his simple and rundown room. Sensing the surging powers in his body, Lu Yuan let out an exhale and revealed a hint of an agitated smile. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before his rate of refinement would reach 100%. By then, he'd be able to consider breaking the genetic lock and start to level up, right? According to this speed, it'd take at most another 11 to 12 times, and it probably wouldn't need a month. He might be able to raise his level to a tier 1 fighter before the college entrance examinations. By then, he should be able to get into a good gene fighter academy. He didn't understand why many people had spent several decades but were unable to advance to tier 1. It seemed pretty easy to achieve. Lu Yuan was a little puzzled. However, he didn't think too much into things. He just took out his phone and checked the time. It was 4 a.m. now. It was 10 p.m. when he entered the land of origins, so 6 hours had passed. 2 hours in the real world should be 1 day in the land of origins. This meant that he had been inside for 3 days. It was shorter than he thought. He had thought that he'd be able to stay for around a week. However, the amount of time one stayed inside was decided by the land of origins. He couldn't do anything about it either. While there was still some time, should he cultivate a little more? Just as Lu Yuan was thinking, he suddenly heard the sound of a door opening from outside. Lu Yuan was stunned and a little puzzled. Amongst the people who company rented the apartment with him, elder sister Qinghe had come back with him yesterday. She was probably sleeping now. As for the other 2 groups, they worked during the day and should be sleeping now. Why would there be someone opening the door to enter?